Sup, fellas. Lock in real quick for me. Hey, do you realize that women would rather die alone than live a life with you? I know. Bold start.
Okay. I don't agree with her. But anyway,
I don't like her already.
Yeah, seriously. So look, over the past few months, there have been all these articles published about a manufactured thing. And it's referred to as mankeeping because if the press isn't writing gender-related stories on a manufactured issue that frames men in a negative light, what else would they be doing with their time? And I'm actually being serious. I'm not even being hyperbolic here. So apparently, mankeeping is a term that was created by a postdoctoral fellow at Stanford University, because of course it was. Her name is Angelica Puzio Ferreira, and it describes the work women do to meet the social and emotional needs of their men in their lives, from supporting their partners through daily challenges and inner turmoil to encouraging them to meet up with their friends. Is that really that much emotional work to like encourage your man to go have fun with his friends? Really? Okay. What I have been seeing in my research is how women have been asked or expected to take on more work to be a central, if not the central, piece of a man's social support system. Angelica, what is the point of entering a relationship? Like, genuinely, I wanna know. I wanna know because as a woman, and I don't speak for all women, I just speak for myself. As a woman, I'm gonna need some emotional support, okay? Like, that's one of the things you expect in a relationship, right? And by the way, it's a 50-50 thing. I give, I get. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I've never heard of women needing emotional support in a relationship. Never. Right? So like, guys, I get it. So is it more of a phenomenon recently that guys are relying more on their girlfriends and wives? Apparently so, there's some numbers that back it up, right? And I'm gonna add one reason why as we go through this story, right? So I understand the phenomenon. At the same time, I don't know what's wrong with it. Like, they make it seem like it is happening, hence it is bad. Why is it bad? You're talking to your partner more and they're helping you get through tough times. That sounds kind of amazing.
It's funny because like historically, the big issue is the different way the genders communicate. So usually with males, these are generalizations, but I think most people can relate to this. You know, women like to vent. Like oftentimes, I'm having a bad day, I just want to vent about my problems. Don't give me any solutions, okay? Just let me, because I want to figure out what's right for me myself. And if you want to, maybe hours after I vented, propose a solution or two, cool. But understand most of the time, when women want to vent, they just want to vent, okay? Men are different. I've experienced, and this is pretty much with every guy I've dated, they want to find solutions immediately. Okay, you're talking about this, which automatically means you want me to give you solutions. You want me to give you actionable items. And so that's always historically kind of been the tension, but this story is all about men are undergoing a loneliness crisis, and as a result, they're leaning on the women in their lives for emotional support. And God, don't men suck? Like that's the-
Yeah, why do we suck because of that? Well, okay, by the way, if you're not giving that emotional support, maybe you suck.
Yeah.
So like this whole thing of like man keeping, oh, now I have to bother telling you, helping you out. Yeah, that's what you do in a relationship. You help each other out. What do you mean you have to bother doing it? Imagine if you flipped it and you're like, woman keeping. Oh, it's taking up all of our time.
Oh, we'd be super offended.
To deal with all the emotional baggage of these women, right? People are like, oh my God, that's so sexist and horrible.
It is, yeah.
Right? And they do it to guys and it's Tuesday.
So basically, this is all viewed as women taking on the role as their partner's unofficial therapist. And by the way, I will admit, I'm sure there are instances where this could go too far and the man in your life might actually need to talk to a professional who can help in a clinical way. And so make that point when you guys are talking. But anyway, Justin Lioi is a licensed clinical social worker in Brooklyn who specializes in therapy for men. When he sees a new client, one of the first things he asks is, who can you talk to about what's going on in your life? Much of the time, he said, his straight male clients tell him that they rarely open up to anyone but their girlfriends or wives. And some publications have talked about man-keeping in a way to basically argue that it's ruining dating for women. According to a Vice article from last month, for instance, they cite a Guardian piece. The Guardian calls man-keeping a modern extension of emotional labor, one that turns a partner into a life coach. This isn't about avoiding vulnerability, it's about refusing to carry someone else's emotional weight while getting little to nothing in return. Okay, look, if that emotional support isn't reciprocated, that actually is a problem. But the way that this is being framed for the most part is men are leaning on the women in their lives more for emotional support, and don't they suck? Like, that's the feel that I get with the way that these stories are being, or the way these write-ups are framed.
Yeah, so you didn't read Graphic 5 yet, right?
No, go ahead.
So let me read that because it gives you the substance of what they're talking about. And then I want to comment on what Anna said. In a 2021 survey, 15% of men said they didn't have any close friends, up from 3% in 1990. So that's a big jump from 3 to 15. No close friends. And this is what people are talking about, men, when they talk about men's loneliness, etc. Same report showed that in 1990, nearly half of young men said they would reach out to friends when facing a personal issue. 2 decades later, just over 20% said the same. That's a giant change, right? So half of guys say, oh yeah, I got a close friend and reach out to, no problem. Only 20% now? So 80% of guys have nobody to reach out to that's a personal, so that's a mountain of a problem, that's real, right? But the answer to that isn't, well, don't ask me then. No, they should ask you more, right? Yeah. Because they need somebody as an outlet, whether it's a therapist. But I think to me, a girlfriend or wife makes the most sense.
Yeah,
who else would you talk to?
I agree. And by the way, like, communication is key because everyone has their own habits or their own needs. Like, I know for me, I need alone time. Believe it or not, I am not an extrovert, and sometimes I just kind of want to be left alone to like recharge and think and just do what I do. I don't know. I like solitude sometimes. I communicate that, like, hey babe, quiet time or alone time. And he says the same thing to me when he needs it. And we know not to get offended by it because we recognize one another's needs. That's what it means to be in a relationship. And by the way, if you don't want to make those compromises and those sacrifices, you're not ready for that, that's okay too. But it's maybe not a good idea to kind of like, it's almost like a lot of people, women in social media, like wear a sign, like do not approach me, I don't want anything to do with you. And then they complain about how hard it is to date. Well, you're putting something out in the world and you have to be mindful of that, right? So
there's so much nuance in all this, right? I know why women put up a defensive shield a lot of times because, and a lot of guys don't understand this. So look, 10% of guys are super awkward, right? Whatever the real number is, right? So they'll go up to a woman and make an ass of themselves and make the woman feel super uncomfortable and worried, right? So that makes them put up a wall against all of us. And then 90% of guys who are good guys go and they go, what is this wall about, right? So that's why that exists. And for the guys, part of the problem with opening up to your male friends is male friends can oftentimes be dicks, right? And so, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like, oh, they're jerks. I mean it as in friends do bust nuts, right? They're tougher on each other. They joke around more, etc.
We women know how to give that empathetic, tender, loving care. You're right.
Yeah, when guys, especially for the old school guys, there's not a lot of, are you all right?
Yeah.
It's more like,
the masculinity, like that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like opening up, for good folks, like, the friends I have, of course, are all good guys. If you really open up, then they'll be like, okay, pause, like time out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop bust nuts for a second. Hey, what's going on? We really want to help you, right? But for a lot of guys, you never get to the timeout.
Yeah.
Right? And so they don't even know that they could actually have that conversation. And if they did, the guy across from them probably had similar problems too, right?
Yeah.
But we're too guarded in our own ways to have that conversation.
Maybe we need besties therapy. You know how there's like couples therapy? Maybe guy friends need to like go to therapy together.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
It'll never happen.
Okay,
right.
not once. Okay, and then finally though, I'm okay, so back to why I'm opposed to this way of thinking that the article's talking about, right? The man keeping and all that. It's because, guys, this is less of a, to me, is less of a male-female thing, honestly, and I'm gonna criticize my own side here. Politically, I'm a left-wing populist, but there was a strand going through the left for a while of, it's not my job to do fill in the blank, X, Y, Z, right? So it's not my job to educate you about Muslims, okay? You should go do your own history and not be bigots, etc. But they're not gonna do their own reading of Muslim and Middle Eastern history.
Nope.
No, I want people to be decent to Muslims, so if I can, and I know some things they don't, I tell them, right? It's not my job to tell you how to pronounce my name. No, it kind of is, okay? So if you have a name like mine that's starts with a C but pronounced like a J, Jank, it's definitely my job to tell you. Otherwise, you're gonna be like, hey, Sink Weiger. Like, yeah, how are they supposed to know Turkish? So there's this like weird, and this story feels the same way to me, right? Of like, it's not my job to take care of my husband psychologically or emotionally. No, it kind of is.
It totally is.
It really is, right? And by the way, of course, vice versa. And if your husband doesn't do that for you, the problem isn't that he's asking for it as well. The problem is he's not delivering on his own end, right?
Good point.
You both have a right to be each other's emotional partners. I thought that's what marriage was for.
Relationships, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
And certainly relationships as well. So this don't bother me attitude is what actually annoys me.
Yeah, me too. That's probably why we both had the same reaction to the video that we started the story with. But anyway, there you have it. You wanna do the emotional labor that's required in a relationship, go for it. If you don't, you're gonna be lonely. It's that simple.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.